Hello everybody, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell that's right next to it. Okay. Yes. And by the way, let me, I gotta show you guys this craziness here. Apparently, I mean, this is nuts while we're waiting for people to show up. Apparently, this is like Chloe's mom here or something, and this is the uncle. Look at that face on the uncle right there. What is that? That looks like a half humanoid, half dog. Does anybody know what the hell that is? That doesn't even, you know. I'd like to say, oh yeah, I see the resemblance. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I mean, look at that, like the mouth on there. I mean, if you actually got rid of those ears, it would look sort of like a, it is pretty ugly. I mean, that's amazing. This looks more like a Pomeranian than a Chihuahua. And this looks like, I can see a little bit of Chloe in there. I don't know. I don't really know who these are right here. But this thing, wow, look at that. I mean, it looks like this dog that would have a human head, like on the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original with Donald Sutherland. You remember that little, like a little Yorkie that was running around, or whatever the hell it was, with a human face? Look at that damn thing. Wow. Yeah, Chewbacca. But, I mean, who wants to see Chewbacca on a dog? Look at that thing. It looks like it's looking at you like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna go kick your ass in about 2 minutes. Alright, you keep talking about me. Holy crap, that's amazing. Anyways, thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, well, here we go. I'm gonna get going on the case. This might not take that long, but it was one that popped up in my news. Somebody emailed it to me today, and I was like, wow, that's insane. All right, so here's where it all starts. November 5th, 1996. Teenager arrested in Horseshoe Lake killings. A 16-year-old boy is charged with 2 counts of capital murder in the death of his aunt, which I haven't been able to figure out what's going on there, but aunt and a musician at Horseshoe Lake in September, state police said. Travis Lewis, he's only 16, was arrested at his home near Hughes. I guess there's a place called Hughes, Arkansas. No relation, okay? Doesn't mean I'm from there. Sure, yeah, right. And so this was about, he was arrested at 5 p.m. Tuesday, said Arkansas State Police spokesman Wayne Jordan. Sally McKay, 75, and Lee Baker, 53, were found dead September 10th in Miss McKay's home, which had burned. Jordan said Lewis is being held in a Crittenden County jail. Mrs. McKay was the daughter of the late Colonel Bob Snowden, a prominent farmer and a member of one of the country's oldest families. Snowden once bought the popular Peabody Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, then sold it several hours later. Baker was a Memphis musician, having played backup for the late blues great Fury Lewis. At the time of his death, he was playing with his own band. It's called Lee Baker and the Agitators in Memphis clubs. Police said after the killings that the two were in After the killings, that the two were in Mrs. McKay's house when the fire broke out, but both appear to have injuries unrelated to the fire. Jordan said no further information about the arrest was available. A car that belonged to Mrs. McKay was found the day of the fire on a gravel road about 1.5 miles west of the house. It had been wrecked and turned over, police said. See, I actually think that... so here's the house, and here's Horseshoe Lake right here. Hence the name. It's actually an oxbow, almost an oxbow in a river. So at one point it was meandering like that, and it's sealing itself off. Okay, but if you go to the house right here, and then you go, hey, thanks, Jen B. If you go 1.5 miles west of here, from the house, you kind of end up almost exactly on this road right here. And I bet you it might even be up here on this one. And this is dirt. This is a dirt road, and I bet you that's exactly where that was. There's nothing really else like that out there. And let's see. Well, it looks like the Google Earth driver even drove up it a little bit until it went over that bridge. But I mean, look at this crap. You can tell that that was probably, you know, back in, you know, 90, what was it, 96? It would have been gravel. Hell, it's even gravel right there. And then apparently this guy goes, whoa, what am I doing out here? And then turned around. I probably would have done the same thing. So I think that's where the car was found. And then there's another article here. A teenager being held on capital murder charges. A 16-year-old boy remains in jail after appearing before a circuit judge to face accusations he murdered an elderly woman and her musician nephew at Horseshoe Lake. Travis Lewis was being held without bond. Let's see. He murdered an elderly woman. Okay, so they screwed up in that previous article. It wasn't his aunt. He was the nephew of the musician. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get this straight. For circuitory, he murdered an elderly woman and her musician nephew at her Horseshoe Lake. What the hell? Okay, so he wasn't the nephew. See, for a while I thought they were saying that he was, in the previous article, that he was the nephew of... Okay, so we'll just throw that all out. That he's not related to anybody. Okay, so the elderly lady that was killed and Lee Baker is the nephew of Sally McKay. Okay, that makes more sense. All right. Travis Lewis was being held without bond Wednesday on 2 capital murder charges in the September deaths of Sally McKay, 75, and her nephew, Lee Baker, 53. A prosecutor said additional charges, possibly against other people, could be filed later. A friend of the Baker family said Lewis, a 10th grader at Hughes High School, was a student in an English class Baker taught at the school. Hughes is in St. Francis County, about 6 miles from Horseshoe Lake. A cousin of Lewis said the defendant's grandparents rented their home from the slain woman. So they must have owned property. Lewis, 15 at the time of the slayings, was arrested at his home near Hughes about 5 p.m. Tuesday. He also was charged with 1 count of burglary. He appeared in front of the Circuit Court's Judge Samuel Turner on Wednesday for a probable cause hearing, then was placed in the Crittenden County Jail, according to David Avery, a spokesman for the Arkansas State Police. Deputy Prosecutor Lindsay Fairley told Judge that police had evidence tying Lewis to the scene. He was subsequently interviewed and has made a statement and confirms his presence at the scene. Because of possible additional defendants and the possibility of additional charges, Fairley said he did not want to reveal too much about ongoing investigation. Meanwhile, a dive team from the Shelby County, Tennessee Sheriff's Office assisted Arkansas State Police and Crittenden County Sheriff's deputies in searching for a gun believed to have been used in the killing. The search, which was to continue today, was being carried out in the lake near a boat dock behind Mrs. McKay's house, Avery said. Mrs. McKay and Baker were found dead September 10th in Mrs. McKay's home, which had burned. Mrs. McKay was the daughter of the late Colonel Bob Snowden. Baker was a Memphis musician. Police said after the killings that 2 were in Mrs. McKay's house when the fire broke out, and both appeared to have injuries unrelated to the fire. Probably gunshot wounds, you'd think, since they were looking for a gun. Hey, Billy Boy Blue. Yeah, people keep mentioning you in chat, but you're not there. Yeah, no, this story gets pretty crazy, okay? So...
Hello, freaks. Just stopping in to say hey. Sorry I've been away. I work in healthcare and it's been tough trying to keep this dang virus at bay.
That's right, Billy Boy Blue. Well, thanks, man. And, I mean, thanks for your service is really what I was trying to say. Baker was a Memphis musician. Let's see. A car that belonged to Mrs. McKay was found the day of the fire on a gravel road about 1.5 miles west of the house. Okay, and there's just one more article here. House burns, 2 killed, authorities say. A woman from a prominent local family and her musician nephew. Okay, that makes more sense now. Were found dead. How was that first one worded? Was I just reading that crazy? A 16-year-old boy is charged with 2 counts of capital murder in the death of his aunt. Yeah, in the death of his aunt. See, that was an error in that first article. Yeah, Jesus. I thought that sounded kind of odd. Mrs. McKay is the daughter of the late Colonel Bob Snowden, who was a prominent farmer. Baker is a Memphis musician. Okay, so basically it says the same thing. The car that belonged to Mrs. McKay was found at 11:15 a.m. by a neighbor. All right. So then we move forward in time to now. Look at this craziness. All right, watch this. Woman killed by same man who murdered her mother 24 years ago, police say. I mean, just already, that's the craziest shit you've ever heard, right? Martha McKay left, well, not ever, because you got the Rexburg case. Martha McKay left, was found stabbed to death in her home Wednesday, March 26, 2020. I mean, that's like, it must have been yesterday, right? Because today's Thursday. The 25th is what they meant. In Hughes, Arkansas. Her suspected killer, Travis Sante Lewis, same kid, but now he's a lot older because he served he just got out of prison not too long ago from the killing of the original McKay. Lewis, 39, also killed McKay's mother and second cousin in 1996 on the same property. An Arkansas woman was stabbed to death Wednesday at her historic bed and breakfast by the same man who killed her mother and cousin on the same property 24 years ago. Martha McKay was killed inside Snowden House, a colonial-style mansion located on Horseshoe Lake in Crittenden County. Crittenden County Sheriff Mike Allen said deputies responded Wednesday to an alarm at McKay's home. When they arrived, they found an open back door. So, you know, this is actually there's no street view of it. It does go right here, street view, but it doesn't go back to the house. This is I mean, look at all these other properties, how they're kind of dense in there, you know, but this piece of property, man, it's like a park here. And so the back door is back here, and, you know, this is obviously the front. You would drive up like that. Let's see. As they search the home, listen to this craziness right here. I know, it's absolutely crazy, this thing. As they searched the home for an intruder, they saw a man later identified as 39-year-old Travis Sante Lewis jump from an upstairs window, so the police got there quick. And the sad part is the lady that lived there, she was on the phone with the alarm people trying to get in, and oh god, it's just an absolute nightmare. Lewis ran from the car and jumped into the lake. Okay, so he tried to get away in his vehicle. Lewis ran to a nearby car and attempted to drive away, but the vehicle got stuck in the yard. Then Lewis ran from the car and jumped into the lake. He was observed going underwater and never came back up, Allen said in the news release. The Arkansas Game and Fish and Crittenden County search and rescue were called, and Game and Fish and their sonar equipment, and search and rescue was able to locate and recover the body. So he ran in the lake and drowned. Meanwhile, Martha McKay's body was found inside the house, the sheriff said. The motive for the killing is unknown. Family members said Martha McKay had been stabbed to death. Her sister, Katie Hutton, who shared the flyer story on Facebook, mourned her sister. She is irreplaceable. In 1996, when he was 16 years old, Lewis killed Martha McKay's mother, Sally Snowden McKay, and Sally McKay's cousin, Memphis musician Lee Baker. The flyer reported that, and then tried as an adult, Lewis was sent to prison where he served more than 20 years. So that would have been 96. You know, maybe he got any. He was paroled in 2018, just 2 years ago. And this is why, you know, you don't let barbarians out that do this kind of shit. He killed 2 people already. Why was he ever out on parole? I mean, really? God, what a joke. Martha McKay's cousin, Dottie Jones, a Memphis, told the Flyers that the family of Memphis told the family that he had posed a capital sentence. So the family, her family, opposed the capital sentence when Lewis was convicted of a double homicide. Yeah, so there you go. Has that little Molly Tibbetts ring to it. You know, how she was like, oh, I'm so pro illegal aliens, and then an illegal alien kills her. You know, and then her dad's trying to make these political comments out there. It's like, listen, you know, you got to put the barbarians, you guys being really sort of trying to be morally like better, you know, trying to pretend that you have this really high moral superiority complex. You probably ended up getting her killed because of the way you just let him off. He should have been executed. He killed 2 people. Yeah, I guess apparently he was attempting to rob the house, and they came up on him, and then he shot them. But why did he? And then he burnt the house down. But why did he do this? Like, what? He went back there again? Was he like, I got to get that robbery under my belt? And lo and behold, he sneaks in the back door, alarm goes off, and the same thing happens. Martha McKay forgave and befriended Lewis while... Oh, this is what the deal is here. Look at this shit. Martha McKay forgave and befriended Lewis while he served his time for her mother and cousin's murders, which took place when the pair surprised him as he burglarized the house on the Snowden property, the newspaper said. After killing Sally McKay... I mean, look at the horror, and that's why I called it what I called it. The nightmare it must have been for Martha to see the person that killed her mother, who she befriended over the years, break into her house, and I think he like stabbed her to death, I think. Let's see. Yeah, and she's actually, there's a video on YouTube with her in it right here. You know, she's just talking.
We lived here until I was about 5, and my parents brought us to San Francisco.
See, she turned her the property into like a bed and breakfast, I think. A place where, you know, other people could stay. I mean, really fixed it up nicely and everything. And she's got a Facebook page right here. Yeah, these are more, this is 2017. That was 2012, that video there. This 2015. You know, pictures on the lake. I mean, can you just imagine that? Wow. I'd love to know what is, nobody's going to get the answer though. That's what's crazy, is he kills her and then runs into the lake. Let me see if this has more information on it. Yeah, look at that. Martha McKay of Hughes, Arkansas, was stabbed to death Wednesday in her Horseshoe Lake home. Snowden House, which she operated as a bed and breakfast. Her apparent assailant who broke into the house was Travis Lewis, the same man who had recently been paroled from prison after serving a lengthy term for the double murder in 1996 of McKay's mother. and nephew. Wow. Using an alarm that was installed in her house, McKay was able to transmit an electronic alert, so maybe it was just electronic, regarding the ongoing assault to local law enforcement, who arrived too late to save the victim, but made an effort to apprehend the fleeing assailant, who drowned in Horseshoe Lake in his effort to escape. Well, at that point he knew he'd probably just... He obviously can't swim, right? So, when he went in the water, he was probably just trying to kill himself. Well, the good thing about that is it wasn't really instant karma. He's under the water, choking and stuff for a few minutes. It wasn't like he just went, instantly died. So thankfully he got to suffer for, 2-3 minutes under there. No motive for the crime was known. In a statement released Wednesday evening, you might want to ask some of his cellmates in prison if they know anything. He's probably like, oh God, these people, they got me. He's just stewing how it took away so much of his life. So he's just stewing and stewing and stewing. I mean, the stupid thing is he was only 39, but he probably, and he just was like, I got to do something. So he pretended to be friends and everything. And then he went over there and he killed her. Probably, he probably had that revenge feeling all those years. No motive for the crime was known. In a statement released Wednesday evening, Crittenden County Sheriff Mike Allen said deputies today responded to an alarm at the historical Snowden House in Horseshoe Lake. 2 deputies that arrived found an open back door, and upon clearing the house, located a possible suspect who jumped from an upstairs window and ran to a vehicle that he drove across the yard and got stuck in the yard. Dottie Jones of Memphis, a first cousin of deceased, confirmed such details as could be immediately known. Jones said that her cousin had befriended Lewis during his time in prison and subsequent parole. So maybe he had even been to the house. She said that members of the family had opposed a capital sentence at the time of Lewis's conviction for the 1996 crime committed when Lewis was surprised by the victims in the act of committing a burglary. After that dual murder, Lewis set fire to that house, which had been situated near the site of today's crime. The bed and breakfast operated by Martha McKay had attained a certain fame, and in 2012 was the subject of a feature story and photo spread in Memphis Magazine. Yeah, so here's that. I mean, this is a huge article. I put it in the description if you guys want to read it. I mean, look at that. It's really long. So, anyways, I wanted to have this have it be another standalone video on this case. What do you mean, this case? What does that mean, Mindcrime? This case? Question mark. Type in a full sentence. That might work. Let's see. Yeah, it's Arkansas. Right. Okay. Well, anyways, the links are in the description if you want to check it out, but I just thought it was so bizarre. It's a little less bizarre that she befriended the guy, but at the same time, it's crazy. Like, he actually gets out and then he kills her. After a while, like, what led to that shit? Stabbed her to death, as if... I mean, that's rage killing at that point. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for checking in. I'll probably come back on later tonight. We're going to maybe go over and look into some of the related cases to the case of Marcy Belez, the 1985 cold case that was just solved too, but there was cases that in the paper back then at least, people thought maybe were related. So maybe we can go over those. All right. So thank you guys for coming on. Here, let me go through this. Hold on one second. Yeah. So thank you from earlier. We had Robin Frost and Jody William and Miss Giss and I guess Chuck Sims, and then on this live, Billy Boy Blue. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Be safe out there, freaks. Yes, and don't forget to use the hand sanitizer. Don't touch your face. Cough into your elbow.